You know, lads, life is really good right now, you know? ORKS is finally getting some proper recognition from GORK's wisdom as of late. We finally got a model for the legendary speed freak Glitzdakka Gutsmack. We got the return of the greatest human that ever existed, Commissar Yerrick. The boys is being prominently showcased in the new Total Warhammer 4 and many game. There's the grand return of one of the best bosses in the galaxy, War Boss Gorgut's Headhunter for the new Dawn of 4 game. And I don't think I need to repeat myself. Oh, who does ORKS always kid? I love to repeat myself about this. ORKS is absolutely, what do you mean call it? Mogging? Yeah! Boys is absolutely mogging on the Beakiez in the new 11th edition of the big game. We just mogging so hard that I had to do a few videos about it. But I is a gracious boy and I'm willing to let you get in on a little secret, alright? Is you a fan of old Bale Yerrick? What about that Captain Cyrus from them Blood Ravens that the boys is fighting in Dawn of 4? Or even them Blood Angel Beakiez that all the boys is crumping in the new edition of the big game coming soon. Well, I got some good news for you then, boys, cause all them kids is coming to this fun little Zorgan game that I love so much that I talked about before. Warhammer 40,000 Tacticus. Yeah, the Tacticus boys wanted to sponsor another video of mine to tell you all about these dead-hard things that is coming to their game. You wanna get into the shoes of Gay School's Crowd, Commissar Yerrick, and Crumpa Puncher boys? Well, starting on June 24th, you can jump into this here character quest for 3 days, where for every win that you can get these little shards so you can unlock Yerrick for any fight in the game faster. Same goes for that there Blood Raven Captain Cyrus lad. Also starting in June, this here boy is the first Blood Ravens to ever be playable in Tacticus. And even if for whatever reason you don't like none of them boys, just about every other faction you can think of in this universe has got champions in this here game. With all different kinds of game modes too. PvE campaigns, PvP, guild raids and lots more. I mean, personally, of course, ours is gonna play the ORKS. I mean, look at these boys, full of shooting and smashing. Oh, what's that? You wants to play as the ORKS too? Well, use me link in the description and use the code Glitzdakka to not only get 2,000 gold and 50 black stones, but also 10 shards of Boss Golgos themselves so you can start crumping like an orc. Either way, if you want a good old fun game set in the Warhammer 40,000 universe, filled with fast-paced strategy on your smart devices, use this here QR code or that link in the description that I mentioned, download the game, and get ready for a proper scrap. Now then, we just got done talking about all the orky things coming into the 11th edition of the big game. Why not talk about the Beakiez that the boys is gonna be crumping on Armageddon? I mean, we already explained what the Lucky Blue Beakiez was all about from a proper orky perspective, so why not talk about Blood Beakiez with a proper orky perspective? So for all you Yumis that either wants to learn about the Blood Beakiez or just loves them so soggin' much you want to hear about them again, sit down, shut your gob, and open your lungs. Cause this is Blood Angel Beakiez explained by an orc. And let's see here, back then, according to the Yumis, days was like 1, 3, 6, 9. They was the 9th big group of Beakiez in the Yumis Imperium. I mean, back then, there were lots of Beakiez. More than there is now, but anyway. The first thing you need to know about the Blood Beakiez is that in the beginning, they was Roy Kelly. Probably one of the best scraps a ball could ever ask for. See, despite the fact that these Beakiez was more tall and weedy compared to the other Beakiez, they had a ferocity for fighting that would rival even an orc. They loved getting up close with nothing in their head besides the need for a big old scrap. It's something else that made these Beakiez pretty orky-like was how much they loved eating the kids that they crumped. And you see, I'll never understand that about humans. You look at that and say, oh, that's bad. Well, look, I hate to tell you this, humans, but to most orcs, use is downright delectable. I mean, I don't think so. Seriously, you boys even know what you just eating on to regular? What in Cork's great cream would I want to eat something that's been eating this? Ugh. To most folks though, humies is a raw tasty snack. And apparently these here blood beakies tend to agree. Cause based on what Oz read about them, they love snacking on humies just as much as the boys do. In fact, these youth blood beakies even got proper teeth. Just not all the time apparently. I will say this though, that unlike the boys, these here youth blood beakies, despite wanting to fight all the time, was also whingy and whiny about a lot of stuff. So me, you'd think they was cross with how much that they would sulk and complain and whine, almost like they didn't like all the fighting they was doing. Now, in yet another garden variety case of humies being stupid, the Humie Imperium apparently looked at these beakies that was really good at crumping and decided that they weren't gonna give them the best weapons, armor, and other gear so they could crump better. I think I kinda get it. You wouldn't exactly give a group of mad boys a shooter, but you got some mob of beakies that's just really good at crumping, so much so it's all they can think about. Why not give them the best Humie talker and choppers? Makes no fucking sense to me. Sad to say though, boys, that the youth beakies got ruined whenever the Imperium Humies found that their hook squig of a Humie sing. Song it! Big Wing the Blood Beaky Boss. Anyway, Big Wing the Blood Beaky Boss was, well, they was right weird. First things first, when Big Wing met the Emperor, they apparently started crying. Which, you know, average human behavior, but he was crying crystals that, when they hit the dirt, flowers and things started growing. Would one of you humans please hold and explain to me how the soul debt works based on the basic rules of botanics? And that ain't the only thing that didn't make sense for Beaky Boss Big Wing to do. Apparently, Big Wing sold their Beaky boys and couldn't accept the fact that they was the most dead-old Beakies there was. Except for maybe them stinky beakies or the iron boys. But no. Big Wing decided that they was gonna take their bloody beaky boys and make them boring. Instead of fighting, stomping, crumping, and crunching, Big Wing, that kid, taught all the blood youth beakies to focus on doing boring stuff. Like painting, and writing a bunch of Humie words that sounded nice when they was all said together. This is what Grod's all get to. Dog me! Or guess to be fair, at the very least, when something stupid gets in the way of the blood beakies getting their arts and craft supplies, they would clobber the offenders right proper. But why? How could you take the killiest boys the Humies got and make them into, well, Humies? I realize I just answered my own question, but still, Big Wing turned one of the best legions of boys from dead-eyed powerhouses to this. The good news though, boys, is that the blood beakies, no matter how boring Big Wing tried to make them, still deep down really wanted to crump like a wild boy, letting themselves reject humanity and return to crumping. Now, sometime later, the Wolfie get horsey and acted the horsey heresy. But old Horsey knew that the big beaky boss Big Wing was, despite being a faffy painter, still really good at crumping. So, because Horsey was a scared little pansy, they sent Big Wing and their boys out to some planet over that way called Cygnus Prime. And it was there they found a great big Zolkin war Gribbly named Kabanda. This was one mean Gribbly too. Nothing that Gaskell couldn't crump, but was still raw killing. During their big fight, Kabanda told Big Wing that Horsey was being sussy and planning on crumping the Emperor. Course, being a Humie, Big Wing said, no, you get, I'd win, and crumps Kabanda. But only after Big Wing got their legs broken by the big Gribbly kid. Now, on their way out, Kabanda crumped like 5 and many blood beakies, which was enough of a bad thing apparently that it knocked out Big Wing. Again, soggin' weird. That's like saying a war boss would have to take a nap because 5 and many boys got smashed. Who soggin' cares? Anyway, far too long of a story short, Big Wing alongside Robot Gorilla Man, Lion L, Door, and Jaggy went down to the Yumi-owned planet and fought Horsey and their Horsey heresy. The thing is though, is that Big Wing found themselves fighting Horsey all alone. And also shows a fun scrap to watch for Humies, but in the end, Big Wing got crumped right and proper by Horsey. And this is where things get right weird. Apparently, Big Wing got crumped so hard that all the Blood Beakies got PTSD. And from time to time, they get so angry that they hallucinate themselves as Big Wing and every other kid they see as Horsey. So, in this here, Black Rage as they call it, the Blood Beaky goes around crumping everything that they see on top of their red first thingy that makes them want to crump everything anyway. So 2 scoops of War Frenzy, I calls it, haha! But Humies being Humies, the Blood Beakies is trying all kinds of ways to suppress their red thirsty thing and the Black Rage at the same time. And apparently, they do that by doing the same weird human things I mentioned before. Writing talking Humie poetry, painting pretty pictures. Ugh. They even only drink donated blood to them instead of going out and getting blood like a proper boy should be. Suppressing their hungry for fighting, I guess, which is pretty fucking stupid. But for all the Blood Beakies that can break away from their stupid human nature and finally getting back to being crumping machines, they gets put into the Death Company, where their red armor is painted dead on black, and they goes to the biggest, best scraps that the Blood Beakies gets. Lucky lads them. So, how does a Blood Beaky become a Blood Beaky? Well, it's a bit of a mixed bag, that is. Firstly, all would-be Blood Beakies got to walk across this here desert on their own planet, trying to survive, and crumping every other would-be Beaky that they can find one-on-one. And only when 50 boys is left, they all go to the big Blood Beaky fortress shack, and then they go to stand around for 7 and many 2 hours doing nothing. So I mean, that's just torture right there, that is. You give the boys something fun to do, only to make them stand around being bored. Human logical, kids. Well, apparently if the boys don't fall asleep while standing around, they got to drink from this big old cup that got Big Wing's blood in it. And that's gotta be some strong brew, cause it knocks a Zogger right out for over a year. Must be a fucking big hangover after they wake up. I mean, that's if they wakes up. Despite all the would-be Blood Beakies put into casket boxes to sleep off the brew, some of them wake up too fucking early, trapped in their box, and go absolutely metal, while others just fucking die. Tell me, how much did Big Wing drink on the daily to make their blood like that? It's gotta be stronger than any other fungus brew I've ever had. Wait, drinking blood, sleeping in caskets, boy teeth? I've seen these kids before. I think. Anyway, let's wrap up the Blood Beakies the best way that we can, by talking about how they Zolgan fight. Haha! Now, to anyone with a Zolgan brain, one would look at all that red and think, Zolgan, heck, these Blood Beakies must be really Zolgan fast, which they is. They do everything they can to go really, really fast, and get stuck in as soon as possible. Not only do they paint themselves red, but also their wagons, speedsters, and their rocket packs is all colored red. Honestly, all you need to do is put a proper glyph on them, and you can convince me that these boys was evil sons. I mean, they got the same philosophy. Get stuck into the fight as fast as they fucking can. And these boys, oh these boys, they got more assault speedy beakies than any other beakies in the Imperium. Lots and lots of them got jump rockets to get them into the fights faster, and even their big bosses use jump rockets. Finally, one of the fucking best things that Blood Beakies do is that they'll drop their biggest wagons and tanks right in front of the fight. No wasting time. They just drop everything into the scrap that they can and get right to crumping. Something I absolutely respect about these kids. I'll also say, I think the Blood Beakies is pretty okay. Maybe less faffing about with paint and such and more giving into their instincts for proper scrapping. But at least the things they do because they's as raw speedy and ready to get stuck in. Not like them lucky blue Beakiez that's only great cause they's lucky and blue. Anyway, what do you boys think? Let me know in them talking boxes below, and a big thanks to Dakki for sponsoring another one of our videos. Be sure to check out the link in the description or their QR code on screen. And the biggest thanks to all the boys, bosses and knobs that keep throwing their teeth at us so we can keep making the best, greenest, meanest orky videos we possibly can. You boys is the best. In any case lads, as always, shove up and zog off!